And now here he is, joining us in studio. Back-to-back in-studio guests. Now, you don't remember this.
You know, I remember part of the interview, but I don't remember too much more of the context of the conversation.
Yeah, you thought it was in New York.
Well, no, we were talking about the heavyweight tournament.
Yes.
And I thought that I came to New York and I was talking to Showtime and I said, this is what I'd like to do because they had come off that middleweight tournament for boxing.
Yeah.
And I said, I'd like to do this. I'd like to do this heavyweight tournament. And in the past, they were kind of, not too supportive of a tournament format, and because they were having so much hard time with their boxing getting extended, getting hurt. And I said, well, we'd like to do this, and they bought into it. And I remember I said, hey, I wanted to show you this. And that's when I showed you the tournament. And
it was after that interview in St. Louis. You brought me up to your hotel room. Right. You had an iPad.
That's right.
And you showed me the whole deck.
That's right.
Of the tournament.
That's the deck I showed Ken Hirschman at Showtime. And I said, what?
No one knew.
Nobody knew.
I kept it in the vault.
You know what? I'll always trust you because you kept it
because of that. And I saw Fedor's name. I saw Arlovsky, Harry Tanov, Verdum, Bigfoot.
Yeah, it was an amazing tournament. Honestly, it was one of the, I think one of the best tournaments, in the history of MMA. I mean, we had, Alex Overeem.
Yep.
And at that time, Brett Rogers was still hot. Andre was still pretty hot at the time.
I'll never forget being at the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey, first round, right? Fedor Bigfoot, and you were standing in the back. There was a hallway,
right?
And you were wearing a trench coat,
right?
And you were standing there, and I remember thinking, wow, this is interesting that Scott is here and not up there. Right. And there was a crew following you.
Right.
And this is mid-February, less than a month later.
Right.
The company was sold.
It was sold.
And thinking back, I've always wanted to ask you this. Did you know the company was about to be sold? And were you more, I thought you were like, wow, look what I built.
Right.
Were you being more nostalgic at that point?
You know what?
Did you know?
I mean, we knew the dialogue was happening at that point, obviously, right? But, if you know, my style has been, I'm all over the place. Sometimes I'm up front, but a lot of times I just go in the back and watch the fights, up on TV or, it's something that I feel real comfortable back there. And so I was in the hallway. I remember I was in the hallway watching the fight going, wow, this is an amazing show.
It was.
It was really unbelievable.
Whatever happened to that footage? They never released it.
Showtime has it.
You ever talk to those guys?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah?
Oh, they're still great. I mean, I have great relationships there, and they were really good to us. So,
are you surprised they never got back in the MMA game?
You know what? I know that they love boxing.
Yeah.
And I know that from the top down, that boxing is a sport that they want to back. So they're doing a great job promoting boxing. But have yet to go into MMA on any level, whether it's MMA or kickboxing or, but hopefully they will soon or someday.
Quick side note, you asked me about this picture here, and I said that this photo, I don't know if you can see it, there it is. Mayhem Miller bowing over Kazushi Sakuraba. That's my favorite MMA photo of all time, taken by the great Esther Lin.
Right.
I know you're a big fan of as well.
Yes.
And this fight, you saw in person.
Yeah, I was there. And
wow.
It was, I think it's Saitama Super Arena.
Yep.
And Mayhem had just knocked him out and, went to and pay respect to him.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
This right here, the it just feels like his soul is going. That's why I love it. And the respect. It's all about martial arts right here. This to me. And look, Mayhem signed it for me. See that?
Wow. Well, you know what? I think that was really at the tail end of Sakuraba's career.
Yes, it was. Yes.
And it is what it is. I mean, Mayhem was a tough guy. A lot of people underestimate, his ability to fight because of all the challenges later.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, when he was in his prime, that guy was a killer.
I'll never forget, seconds to go in the round, takes Jake Shields' back on CBS, Hoffman Estates, Illinois, had him in the rear naked choke. Remember that?
Yeah, that was.
He was seconds away from becoming champion.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was a tough time,
Do you ever look back at some of those fights, those Strikeforce fights? And now, I mean, I said this to our guy New York Rick before the show. It feels like finally Bellator is in that sort of Strikeforce headspace again with the kinds of cards, the kinds of people you have on the roster. It took, you were hired by Bellator Viacom almost 3 years ago now, 2014. Mm-hmm. You ever look back and be like, man, if I could just get maybe a Rockhold here, a Cormier there, a Jacare there, if I just had a little bit of those guys, I'd be so much further along. Is it almost sometimes at the beginning, a bit deflating, it's like you build this championship team and then you have to build up an expansion team?
Well, you know what? When I came into the company, it was June of 14. And then if you recall, we had to go on the road right away and do these 10-week shows in a row. So really, I think the first kind of stamp I had of the show was November 14. And so from that point forward, I would say that's kind of like the era that I took over, because I told them, I said, look, you have a good roster. It's not a great roster, but you have a good roster. And we have to build the new guys. Like we went and signed Aaron Pico. We went, got a couple of the guys. Now the train is gone, man. We were signing guys like crazy, all the new prospects, the Tyrell Fortunes, the Ed Roos, the Dylans of the world. And then, but at that time, it was really about grabbing a couple guys and let's build these guys. Let's go back to the basics: star identification, star building, and let's create some stars. And then in the meantime, just like Strikeforce, let's go buy some free agents. Let's go buy the guys that have the recognizable names. And Phil Davis was the first one that came over, and then Benson Henderson, and then the floodgates open. And now we have a very, very good roster, and I'm really proud of what we've done, because really I told Spike TV, I said, look, this is going to be a 4 to 5 year process to get to this point, because it's not like it was back then where Pride was, gone, and then these guys were just floating around for me to start, picking them up. So we're going to have to build some, we're going to buy some. And that's really been the philosophy of Strikeforce, and it's the philosophy I brought here. And it's worked both times. So I'm pretty proud of that.
Is it happening quicker than you expected?
I told Spike TV, I said, look, for us, 2.5 years into the process, we're about 2 years ahead of where I thought we would be.
Wow.
When I first, came on.
Really? And why do you think that is?
Boy, I tell you, it's a lot of things happen. The Reebok deal happens, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, fighters are like, "Hey, I want out of here," and then the company gets sold. Then fighters are like, "I want to get out of here."
Yeah.
And
USADA?
and I don't even know, like, the USADA thing, like exactly how much that has affected the overall fighter. Like, the fighter wants to get paid. He wants to be treated fairly, treated with respect, and he wants to get get paid to provide for his family and make a living. That's really what it comes down to.
In a weird way, do you think that they have almost expedited this? Like, who could have saw this coming, right? Because you just mentioned 3 things, or at least 2 things, that were UFC things, not Bellator things.
Yeah, you mean as far as the...
There is a theory, and I subscribe to it, that they expedited this turnaround for you guys, in the sense that a lot of guys are like, hey, I want to get sponsors again. Maybe I don't want to check in with USADA 24/7, 365. Right. Maybe I feel like I'm not getting paid what I was worth when I see that the owner walked away with $4 billion. Right. They expedited this.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. And, it's been good for us. Business has been very good and very happy, because you get guys like Bader, you get guys like Lorenz Larkin, you get guys, the legend fighters like Chael and Wanderlei. I mean, that's something that, when you look at like the fight card in New York, we got 2 killer fights, and then we think the other fights will be killer, but we got 2 legend fights that everybody's going to want to see. Yeah. And so, you need to have that, roster to be able to do fights like that.
Do you feel a lot of pressure, though, because we talk about the word free agency? There's not real free agency in MMA, because there's only really 2 places to go. Yeah, you can have the odd guy go to one. You could have the odd guy go to Ryzen. You could have the odd guy maybe go to the World Series of Fighting, though they haven't really signed anyone of note. There's really only a second place. Now, this is better than no places.
Right. I mean, think about that.
But it feels like every free agent is hoping that you'd give them a deal.
Well, the thing is that, there's a couple of leagues out there that could pick them up if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Some of the leagues
but they can't hang with you in the UFC.
Well, I think that, I can't evaluate their business or how they run, right? So I can only do what we can do.
Sure.
And, do
you feel pressure to pick up everyone?
No.
You are strategic.
There has been other fighters that have been offered that we said, no, we're not interested, or we thought that the pricing was too aggressive, or we just felt like, it's value, for what you're getting. Is the fighter worth this much money, or is the fighter worth these terms? I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a business decision. And I don't want to say names, because some of these guys are friends of mine, but there's been some, big free agents, not free agents, but fighters that were on their way to become free agents, that we decided we're not going to do it.
How long has MSG been in the works?
I would say we started talking to them when it became legal here in
long ago.
Yeah, I mean, we started the process of talking to the commission and talking to the governor's office and see when we could go. And so we knew that the UFC had that date. I think it was November.
Yeah. Yep.
And so the thing was, people expected us to rush and be on in January, February, come right back after. But I said, look, we're not going to we're going to go on our terms. And when we can put the fight card together, I think it's worthy of New York. Then we'll come to New York, and that's June 24th.
There were some reports that you tried to go in October in Barclays, Brooklyn. Is that true?
There was dialogue with the State Athletic Commission.
Yeah.
But it was something about, something wasn't filled out in time, or, I'm not sure exactly.
Semantics?
Yeah, it was something. Yeah, something.
Do you feel like you were kept out?
You know what? I think that there was no way we could possibly have done more than we did to get in and do the fight, So,
In other words, yes.
I mean, maybe not. Maybe it was just the timing of it all.
Right.
I mean, things were going very fast at that time, and it just didn't work out. I mean, the timing was, we're up against the wall, and we had to put that fight somewhere else or do something else. Because we got to keep promoting these fights, and these fighters have to fight.
Yeah.
But we were talking to him. I think we were in serious discussions, but the timing just didn't work out. But you know what? I'm okay with that, because look at what we provided now.
Yeah.
Like the Fedor fight with Mitrione didn't happen because Matt was, unfortunately had kidney stones. And then now we can put it on this card on top of the Chael, Wanderlei fight, and then add to Ed Lorenz and Michael Chandler and Lima. It's going to be a great night of fights.
Did you feel an obligation to the San Jose market to put that Fedor fight back there, because that's your home, right? A lot of people bought tickets to watch that fight.
Sure.
Did you struggle with that?
You know what? I did, but I thought, listen, this is where it should be. This is where MSG.
Okay.
June 24th, we could add it on top of this fight card. It would just blow people away, right? So, they could come here or they can watch it on pay-per-view, and a great night of fights. And now, if you look at the undercard, which is going to be, the Bellator 180 card.
Yeah, that's on Spike.
Yeah, we have. In fact, I'll tell you a fight that we're going to put on there.
Oh, I was just going to ask you if you had any news for me.
I'll tell you next week, not today.
No, come on.
It's going to be James Gallagher is going to fight Shinzo Machida. So that's going to be on the Spike card. So we're now putting together the rest of the fight card underneath. But I'm telling you right now, from top to bottom, this is probably the most stacked card I've ever been associated with.
Really?
And it reminds me of? It reminds me of when I was watching, MMA in the early 2000s or 90s, like where every fight was stacked.
Yeah.
Right.
I miss those days.
Yeah, I miss those days. It wasn't just one guy.
Yeah.
Or one top to bottom, 9-10 fights stacked. And you knew every single person in that roster. And this is going to be that fight card.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Okay, wait. Let me just digest this, because it's James Gallagher, who is, very popular in Ireland. In fact, I got a ton of questions before you came in.
Okay.
Ask Scott about James. Will he be on the card? Yeah. Openly, he said, and I said openly last week, that it's a no-brainer because of the Irish fan base here. Against Shinzo Machida.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a bit of a step up, no?
It's a big step up.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something about James. There hasn't been an opponent ever that he said no to.
Wow.
The coach might feel differently.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, right?
Sure. He
that's
wants
the common sense moves, right?
Yeah.
But the fighter, James, has never said no. He goes, I will fight anybody you just bring, And, we threw the name out, and the coach felt really good about it. So he said, let's do it.
What about AJ McKee? Because they were going back and forth.
That's a fight we'll continue to build up. And
too soon?
Yeah, maybe too soon.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe too soon.
Do you know Aaron Pico's opponent?
We don't.
Okay.
But we will shortly. I mean, this whole fight card, I'd say, in the next week would be put together top to bottom.
So right now we have 4 pay-per-view fights, right? We've got Chael versus Wanderlei. We've got Fedor versus Mitrione. We've got Primus versus Chandler. Larkin versus Lima. What's the 5th?
That's soon to be announced.
Will it be announced tomorrow at the presser?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
We're going to wait for the opponent. So we have somebody in mind, but we want
one guy.
We have one guy. We want to make the other fight. So
will it be Ryan Bader, who you just signed?
Everything is open at this point,
okay.
But we're not committed to any particular fighter right now.
Is it fair to say you won't do 3 title fights on this card?
Yeah, it's fair to say that.
So Bader won't be fighting Davis if he's fighting at MSG.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? As much as people would like to see that fight.
Yeah.
We think that's a main event on its own.
Yeah,
it deserves to have its own accolades and build it up, because that fight. I mean, if you're fighting on the undercard of this fight, you might get lost.
Yeah.
Or if you're fighting, you could get lost if you're looking to be the big fight. And I think that, like I said, that fight deserves to have its own main event promotion.
Pico pay-per-view, Spike, non-televised.
Hasn't been decided yet.
Is there hesitation to put him at the top? Because, I mean, this is his first fight.
Yeah, I mean, but I would say no. I mean, I think the guy can hang on any level.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. I sat down with Bob Cook last week.
Yeah.
And I said, how's Aaron doing? He said he's going to 10th Planet doing all his jiu-jitsu work. He's at Freddie Roach's gym sparring.
Wow.
With all the top guys, Shane Mosley's son, and all the killers there, and he's wrestling with the top guys in wrestling. Like he's really, really training at the highest level on all three, different disciplines. The boxing, the MMA.
He's a legit prodigy.
Yeah, and he said to me, within a year he will be your champ. That's what Bob Cook said.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, wait.
155.
Wow.
He fight Michael Chandler.
In a year.
I mean, in a year, maybe he will. Maybe we'll fast track him to get his 10, 12 fights and, fight him every other month. And then
he's going to fight Dylan Dennis for the belt because I don't know if you heard Dylan earlier. He said that, he's the highest paid fighter in Bellator. Is that accurate, by the way?
who said that?
Dylan Dennis.
Did Chael Sonnen say that?
And he also said that he is soon going to be in that title picture discussion. This is Dylan.
Okay, good.
Did you offer Neiman Gracie a fight against Dylan Dennis? There's a bit of a controversy today. Have you heard about this?
I haven't heard about that.
Neiman Gracie said that he was offered a fight against Dylan Dennis, and Dylan wants to fight on pay-per-view, but it's a Spike fight. He said thanks, but no thanks. And he doesn't even know who Neiman Gracie is, and he wants to debut after September.
I have no
There's all
idea.
kinds of stuff going on, Scott. We've been on the air for like 4 hours already.
I know, it's, there's a lot going on. But you know what? It's a possibility. I'd have to go back and talk to my guys and see.
Do you want him on the New York card?
I think we're offering him a spot, but we're at to wait to see if we get the opponents together.
Okay. Any other fights you want to break for us?
No, I think
That's it?
That's it. That's the good one.
James Gallagher against Shinzo Machida.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great fight.
Wow, and that's on Spike.
That's gonna be the Spike.
Is there going to be a non-televised portion as well? Or
There's
is it
gonna
just
be a streaming portion from 6 to 8,
and then 8
and
to
then
10?
8 to 10 will be the Spike Bellator 180 show, and then the pay-per-view will start at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Why is Bellator putting on a pay-per-view? You are owned by Spike TV Viacom. You've been a free TV product for the most part, except for one show. Why go into pay-per-view?
I mean, if you look at the history of Bellator, it was a pay-per-view product before I got here.
Huh.
Right? With King Mo and Rampage.
Well, just one time.
Yeah, one time.
Okay.
And then, there's some changes, and I came in and we said, guys, we're really not ready for this type of business right now. But if you want to put the building blocks together and invest in the roster, I think you guys can get there. So now we feel like we're ready to go.
Is it different in terms of because I said when I digested the news, it actually broke right as we were saying goodbye last week that the pay-per-view was happening. And I said, wow, I'm surprised that it's happening so soon. Spike, Viacom, their TV company, why are they doing this? And then I started thinking, okay, it's probably very expensive to run MSG, right? Is it not a very expensive
MSG
venue?
it's the most
World's most famous
arena, and it's probably one of the most costly arenas that.
Could you give us a ballpark?
Oh no, I don't want to talk about that.
Fair enough.
But it's worth it. I mean,
I would.
You are in the mecca of,
Sure.
of the planet here, and come on, Ali Frazier.
Yeah.
Out there. We asked him today, can you please bring the Ali Frazier scale?
Oh,
we
sick.
want our
Yeah,
guys
yeah, yeah.
to jump on the scale that they jumped on
For the official
for
weigh-in?
the official weigh-in. Yeah.
Are they going to do it?
They said they're going to look for it. I
Wow.
think they have it, so they're going to try to put it
I
together.
think it's there. I think I've seen it.
Yeah, so we're going to make. I mean, come on, that's like Ali Frazier
Gives
came
me
in.
goosebumps.
It gives me goosebumps. I was like, wow, I was such a big boxing fan, and the pay-per-view, just so you know, is $49.95.
Okay, it is.
Yeah, so there you go.
You're breaking two pieces of news.
Yeah, $49.95. There you go.
And how did you decide on the price point? And is that going to be universal? Because I think for the first pay-per-view, some providers actually made it cheaper.
You know what? Some providers, I think they have the ability to choose and pick and whatever. But suggested retail price is $49.95.
HD.
Yes.
Okay, so my theory was MSG Plus, someone has to pay for these big free agents. There's no, Chael, Wanderlei, Fedor, Mitrione, Larkin, Chandler recently signed a new deal.
Well,
you can't just give away these guys for free, right?
I think you have to look back at, for instance, Chael Sonnen. He was a pay-per-view star.
Yeah.
Right? Wanderlei Silva is a pay-per-view star. Fedor could have been a pay-per-view star, right? If he was fighting in America more. But these guys should continue to be fighting on pay-per-view. And that's how I feel. And then it gives us an opportunity to showcase our guys, the young guys underneath, and really make it a very, entertaining card from top to bottom, because it goes back to the philosophy, we're going to do the legend fights from time to time, right? And we're going to do the fun fight. And the hardcore fights that the fans want to see, the hardcore fights that the hardcore fans want to see. So this fits right in that wheelhouse, right? This is perfect for that, that kind of vision. So, we're going to stay with that, and that's worked. And to me, it's like, look, if Chael Sonnen wins and Fedor wins, hey, he's already told me he wants to fight Fedor.
Huh.
So maybe that fight goes together. That's a pay-per-view worthy fight card.
Yeah.
Fight. So to me, it's like this. We're not going to do like, other companies where we have to do one every month or every other month. We're going to do pay-per-view when the fights are big enough and we feel like we have an event that's big enough to do pay-per-view. So whether that's twice a year or 3 times a year or once a year, we'll do more like the boxing model. There's no set.
Okay.
We'll be like the boxing model.
Okay.
So when the fights are, being built up to the point where we should be doing it, then we'll do it. But we're not going to be forced into, because otherwise I think it becomes irrelevant. Honestly, it's like you're doing it just to do it.
Right.
And is it really a pay-per-view worthy card? That's really I don't want to be in that situation. I want to be in a situation where when just like boxing, when the fights build up big enough, then we'll go for it.
But you look at it like Triple G and Daniel Jacobs. Great fight. One of the best fights of the year. Only sold 170.
Yeah.
What is a successful Chael said 500,000 would kind of be like a bummer. I was like, what? Are you insane?
You gotta love Chael, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, he's just amazing. I mean, I told my guys, don't ever book me after Chael. He's such a good, schmoozer.
But what is realistic? Can you tell us?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the last one didn't do what Chael was saying that it did. I think he was saying it did 280.
Yeah.
I think it did less than that. But, to me,
Did it do less than 100?
No, it did more than 100.
Oh, it did. Okay.
But the thing is, if we could come out of the blocks and be in the 200 range, that's respectable.
Okay.
Yeah, that's I think a goal that's obtainable.
I respect you for saying that. How close was Chael to fighting Fedor?
In my mind, not at all.
It wasn't. Okay.
No. In his mind, he was hoping.
Okay.
But the reason, Eric, we didn't do it was because we knew we were coming here to do this.
By then you knew.
I already knew. Like it's already in the
Okay.
works. So I'm like, chill. I couldn't tell him like, this is.
Why do you keep your card so close to your vest like that? These guys are telling me about signing contracts. They don't even know the opponent. At first I thought it was BS, but now I've heard it 3 times.
Yeah, it is true. I mean, to me, it's like, it's so easy to get that information out there.
Yeah.
And then it becomes diluted sometimes, if the information is out
You're like
there.
Donald Trump with the leaks.
No, I wouldn't say that. but to me, it's like, we have a certain plan and certain thing, and we had a plan for Chael. And the plan was to fight Wanderlei Silva in the summertime. And let's say he fought Fedor, and he's fighting on a one-day notice. Fedor is ready to fight.
Yeah.
And so, would the commission clear him, and would they, allow him to fight? Would they have to pull up his medicals? And it would just been a lot of headache. And then in the back of my mind, I was thinking, you know what? This guy has the biggest fight of his life coming up, in 3-4 months. He doesn't know a lot of this yet.
You weren't tempted to tell him?
I was.
Hey, cool your jets.
No, I was. I was like,
But
Joe,
you didn't.
just trust me.
Okay.
Just trust me. I got something for you. Just trust me.
Sure.
This is something big. You're going to love it. It's going to be fantastic.
Considering how big that fight was and that it was taking place in San Jose, was that maybe the toughest night of your career that it didn't come to fruition?
I would say as a promoter, it's the first time in 31 years that the main event was lost on the day of the fight, hours before the fight.
Crazy.
Because if it was the day before, then we could have switched things around.
Yeah.
Even 2 days before. I mean, then we have plenty of time. But honestly, it's like, getting that call at 2:00, and it was out there. And Matt he's a warrior. He said to me, he's on the phone at the hospital, and I said, Matt, we got to pull the plug. And he said, hey, give me another hour. I think this thing's going to pass. I'll be fine. Like he was ready to go do this.
Yeah.
And I said, no, you don't understand. Like does it happen in 30, 40 minutes? I have to let the arena know. The fans have to know. We have to tell everybody. We have to send out a press release that this is over. And to not be in that situation ever before, it was a weird feeling because I knew I was going to walk into the stadium and the fans were going to be expecting to see Fedor.
Yeah.
And that was something that I really was dreading, kind of walking into that venue. But the guys at the arena did a great job. They put up all the signs, said Fedor's not going to fight the main event. We offered refunds to,
Did a lot of people take you up on that?
I think that there's a certain part of the community that came from the Russian community came just to see Fedor.
Oh, man.
So,
I met a group of journalists who flew from St. Petersburg to San Jose to cover Fedor. And here's the best part. Then went back home and guess what? Flew to Vegas to watch Khabib Nurmagomedov fight, and then he got pulled. 2 fights, 2 weeks.
I know, isn't that crazy?
It's
insane.
Russian
conspiracy, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, what's going on?
I mean, come on. Like I said, it's the first time in 31 years. I mean, it's just a weird feeling. But we're past it, and you know what? I think that it was just meant for him to fight at Madison Square Garden. Which he's excited. He's excited.
Russian community.
Yeah.
Is he here?
He's here.
Why is it Wanderlei coming tomorrow?
Wanderlei has chosen to stay and train, and Fedor was here already booked. It just worked out perfect timing because Fedor's here for the Chicago Fan Fest.
Oh, so he's going to Chicago after this?
Yeah, so he's going to Chicago. So he was already booked, and
Yeah.
And so we actually said, well, Fedor's going to be there. Why don't we just, have the press conference and announce the fight, and while Fedor's here, and then we'll bring Matt in, and then we offered to fly Wanderlei, but he said, "Look, I've been gone for 3 years, and I don't want to leave. I want to train."
Wow.
And
Are you upset?
I mean, to me, it's like, you like the fighters to get media, but you know what? In the back of my mind, when I look at Chael versus Tito, right? I think about it. It's like he hadn't fought for such a long time. And I told him after the fight, I said, Chael, you have nothing to be ashamed of, man. You know what? I think you took the fight. You didn't have enough time to train, to ramp up, to really take a fight at this level. And Tito came in the best shape I've ever seen him in the last 10 years, probably. This guy came, and in Tito's mind, like, you're gonna have to beat his mind, not just his body. And so with Chael, I said there wasn't enough time, but with Wanderlei, when I told him he's going to fight, now you'll have the ramp up time to go fight this guy properly.
Okay.
And so that's basically what Wanderlei's saying is like, look, I don't want to start like doing all these other. I want to just show up and fight. And so
he had time to call in today.
You know what? I'm impressed. I'm impressed. That's pretty amazing.
MSG, MMA Hour. We're kind of on a different level.
I get it. I understand. I mean, look at you, man. When I first came to do interviews with you, you were just in a tiny coffee shop in the corner, doing this little thing. Now you're big time, bro.
Look at me. Yes, I got 3 fake walls, some toys. I mean, I've really come a long way.
No, but I mean, honestly, but the commitment and the love you have and the passion you have for MMA.
Thank you.
It's impressive, man. I really, I'm happy for you, and
I appreciate
you've done
it.
a great job, and keep going, man. It's been amazing.
Okay, I'm not letting you off the hook here.
Oh, what are we talking about?
Showering me with accolades. Are you going to still be in the Josh Koscheck business?
That's up to him. I mean, really, it's like, I mean, that's a tough one, man. It's like, I feel like it's probably maybe time to let it go.
Yeah.
Really, we had high hopes, honestly.
Daily.
We thought we could put him in, but I think the body just is not there anymore. I think it might be time to let it go, but that's up to him, because let's say we say, okay, it's over. We don't want to do it. We can't do it anymore. He's going to go fight somewhere else. He's going to fight in another league, or, he's going to, if he really wants to fight, he's going to keep fighting. I think that, we should probably have a sit down conversation and really, talk through it and say, what are the goals here for the next 4 or 5 years? I mean, you have a great business.
Yeah.
He's got an amazing business. Hey, go focus on the business, build your next career, and teach and train and work out. But to fight on a competitive level, especially in our league or another big, it's going to be tough, man. There's some killers out there.
What about Thompson?
I mean, Josh, I think that we have a couple more fights for him. I think he can still throw it down a little bit. But let's face it, it's like I was even hanging out with Gilbert Melendez at the last fight, and he's we're promoting Carrie, his wife.
Yeah.
And he goes, I know this is the fourth quarter for me,
Gilbert said that.
Yeah. So they know.
They know.
They know the body's not the same, doesn't perform as well, doesn't rebound as well. They know it's in the fourth quarter. And, I said, hey, you might have an overtime and cover these games.
Oh, wow.
So you never know, right? You never know. Careers can be rebuilt.
Sure.
But it's when you get to that point where the body's not responding, and just, he's having a hard time moving his arms. I'm talking about, some of the other fighters that you just can't. It's time, man. It's time to let it go.
How tempted are you to try to book Tito Ortiz versus Ryan Bader? Because I feel like, with all due respect, that's a bigger fight than Davis Bader too.
Yeah, Tito is officially retired.
Is he?
Right? Yeah.
Are you going to try?
I
feel like you're not Scott Coker if you don't try.
Let me tell you what I think will happen.
Okay.
I'll call Tito Ortiz up and I'll say, hey, what about fighting Ryan Bader? He'll say, why? I already beat him. If it was the other way around, then Tito would be like, okay, I got to come back and fight this guy. But he's like, I checked that box already years ago, so give me somebody else. That's.
You think he's still open?
I don't know. I think he's enjoying his life. I mean, the guy's on a boat every day out fishing and, hanging out, with his family. I think he's enjoying his time.
The Rampage Jackson situation, it plays out this Friday on Spike TV. It's at the Allstate Arena, Rosemont, Illinois, just to be exact.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for the plug.
And by the way, we've got Noad Lahat's hat right over there. How about that? Who said I don't love Bellator?
Yes.
I mean, it's right over there. Israel's own.
You should have come to Israel.
I know that was
an
a cool
amazing.
scene.
I mean, amazing trip.
Yeah.
We took the whole. The production crew.
Oh yeah.
And all the fighters. We rented a bus and we had a tour guide take us to Jerusalem the next day.
Magical place, right?
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was really powerful.
I had my honeymoon there many moons ago. I'd like to go back with my kids. But my question is, Rampage, this is a weird situation. He was on my show in January and he said, if I want to keep fighting after this fight, I have to go back to the UFC because I signed a deal. I can't even entertain another offer. I have a deal with them that I have to play out. Is that accurate?
I think that's accurate.
Wow, isn't that weird?
Nah, it's fine.
I mean, but here you are booking him against Mo, big fight.
Fight.
But if he beats Mo and then he leaves, it's kind of a. I mean,
the way I look at it is like we want to put our best foot forward.
Yeah.
Put on the fight that the fans want to see, and if he beats Mo, then that's what it is.
All
you
right.
know, and Mo could move back down to 205. You know, and Rampage. Listen, it's this is a fight that I feel like it should happen. It needed to happen. King Mo wanted to do it. Rampage wasn't as much into it, but he's just gonna hump my leg, and
Yeah.
But I said, look, but this is a fight that we can promote, and really, I think we'll do good ratings, and we'll sell well.
Will you address this on the show, on the telecast? Because I feel like sometimes when we break down the fourth wall, it actually makes it more interesting. Like I feel like by talking about this on the show today, we're actually upping the ratings. I'm doing you a favor.
Thank you very much.
I mean, I feel like sometimes the contract stuff is taboo on TV.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting.
Well, I think that we don't go out and talk about our business practices, on the broadcast.
Say this is Rampage's last fight. He has to go out on top.
But here's the thing: is that is it really his last fight with us? Maybe he goes and fights a couple fights
for now.
Then he comes back and and 2 fights or 3 fights, whatever.
Sure.
He could be back here 8 months or a year. If what I'm saying is you never know about the future.
Sure.
And you always keep the door open.
How's your relationship with him?
Good.
Because he just said, I don't know if you saw this clip of him on ESPN where he said the biggest regret of his career is actually starting an MMA career. A very powerful thing to say. It seems like sometimes he has this love-hate relationship with the sport and promoters and people around the sport.
Right.
And so I was wondering if you have that trust, if you were able to build that rapport with him.
All I can say is, look, we've been honest with him and upfront with him, and and how he interprets that information or whatever. I mean, it was a rocky road in the very beginning, but now it's fine. I mean, and if he looks back on his life and he regrets that, I feel bad for him, But I don't know. Was it Rampage you're talking to, or was it Quinton Jackson?
Oh, I don't know. They did the interview.
See, you need to figure that.
There's
one
a difference.
Yeah, you need to figure that one.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Do you have? I feel like you have a rabbit. You still have a rabbit to pull out of your hat for MSG.
I mean, I think we've already pulled some great rabbits out of
But
the
you
hat.
always have like a left field, like a Herschel, a Gina. You always have something.
I mean, this one's going to be a great. Just what you see is what you get, and we have some other fights we're going to announce that I think will be sizable.
Any
that
hints?
I think no hints.
Okay,
we give you one today already.
I know.
You can't get greedy.
I am very greedy. I am very greedy. Have you tried to get Gina to fight?
We had a conversation with her, but she's doing such a great job in her acting career. Think about Deadpool.
Yeah.
And she's had some great success. So,
but I see her in the front row. Her boyfriend fights for you, right? For Bellator kickboxing. You've never said one fight. We'll make it fun. We'll get a good opponent. That'd be a big deal.
All I told her was this. I said, look, Gina, if you ever want to do it, I won't say no.
Yes. And what did she say?
She just smiled. I'll let you know. Whatever.
Do you think the ship has sailed?
I think that as long as she's landing movie roles, which she is, it's going to be tough. It's they're very busy. She's making good money, and I think she's let it go already.
Okay. Spike,
but she does train.
Yes, I see.
Every day.
Well, that's why I see on Instagram.
Yeah, she's training. She's a martial artist, and that's what I really like about her.
Right.
Is that she's going to continue to train, continue to to try to get better. Whether she competes on a level like our league or whatever, she's like it's gonna be up to her. But she doesn't have to. To me, she's living the life of a professional fighter and an actress. That's really what she wants to do.
Do you remember your first press conference at MSG?
Yes, that was the one that was it the one with Gina and Cyborg.
Yes, that's right. And then you had the outdoor cage.
That's right. And Gina and Cyborg, we built this half cage.
Yep.
And it had the Empire State Building in the backdrop.
Great.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That was a lot of fun.
That was amazing.
Phil Nurse.
In fact, I was here at the I was here at the arena today, and they said, "Hey, do you remember that time we built the cage out front right here, next to Pennsylvania Avenue?" And and you guys did your little thing, and I said, "Yeah, I remember that was Gina Carano and Cyborg."
Anything like that planned for tomorrow?
No, tomorrow is the opportunity to meet the fighters.
Sure.
And Wanderlei will be there.
He will.
But he will not be there in person.
Okay.
We are bringing him in a satellite.
Okay. So hopefully Chael will engage with him that time.
You will be able to talk to him. He'll be able to hear you. You'll be able to, we're being a satellite. So
this is like Sean Spicer things when he brings in journalists via Skype. That's right. Or hologram. Will Chael square off with him?
Oh, yeah. We're going to have the TV turn this way, and we'll just turn it that way.
Perfect.
And then,
is it open to the public?
It is not.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Spike is becoming the Paramount Network.
Yes, I think in the beginning of next year.
How does that affect you?
It doesn't affect us at all.
It doesn't.
No.
So Bellator will just be on the Paramount
So
Network.
Bellator will be on the Paramount Network instead of the Spike TV network.
I mean, is the sort of direction of the network changing? Is it a different audience, the guys thing and all that, or is it the
Yeah,
same
you know
thing?
what? That's something I would talk to Kevin.
Okay.
About.
Can you call him up like Chael called Dana?
I could, but
No, I'm kidding.
my phone's off.
Okay.
But we will sit on there, and what I'm excited about is like this pay-per-view. I mean, how many different networks do they have? Viacom I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That can
They're gonna help promote. Right.
this show.
Okay.
So I think you'll see more promotion on this fight than any Bellator fight ever.
The UK fans would kill me if I don't ask you about their TV situation.
Okay.
So you're not on in Ireland, correct?
We are on in Ireland. I think it's Spike UK airs in Ireland.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Not everyone gets it.
Is that what it is?
They're very upset.
Oh, are they?
Yes.
Okay.
They're very upset. They can't watch your product. They want to watch your product.
Really?
They want to support it. You didn't know this? I saw a scrum where you were asked about it, but I don't think you really knew.
Yeah, I don't
everything.
think I thought, because when I asked, when I asked Spike TV, I said, are we in Ireland? They go, yeah, we're in Ireland. And so I just thought we were covered. Maybe he didn't know, or maybe I don't know. We had to figure this out.
Okay. So you don't have an update on the TV situation?
No, I don't. But I think that we are in the whole country,
But maybe it's on like a premium channel.
No, I think it's on Spike UK.
Well, these people aren't lying to me.
What are they saying?
Well, we'll get a tweet here very shortly because I got a ton of people asking me to ask you about this. Okay, let me ask you about another situation. So sometimes it's frustrating as a fan of the sport when you're on tape delay. And then your people will always tell me, I'll have your people text me, hey, look at our ratings. They're just as good when we're on tape delay, so shove it. But it's 2017.
Who says
Oh,
that to
trust
you?
me, a lot of people. It's 2017.
Sports. I'm going to talk to my team right away. As soon as I get back, we're going to have little conversations.
Sports need to be live.
Right.
How come when you're overseas, you're via tape delay? And how come when you're here in America, West Coast is tape delay? Why?
Well, Bellator 180 will not be tape delay.
Wow.
It'll be
Another
live.
piece of news.
Yes, it'll be live.
No matter the time.
No matter the time.
So
Bellator-
5 p.m. Pacific.
It'll be
5 to 7.
5. No. It'll be on at 8 o'clock. So 5 to 7. Yeah, sorry. So 5 to 7. It'll be on both coasts.
Wow.
So
Why this time? Because you want the people to go to not coincide with the pay-per-view, right?
well,
You don't want them to watch.
I think this is just the beginning of that, because let me tell you, everybody is aware of the situation, and it's just a matter of trying to get clearances from all these different outlets, so to speak. And but I know that I think it's the Italy show that we are going live.
Really?
That'll be live here, and live that way is tough because it's 4 a.m.
Sure.
5 a.m. So, but I know that there's going to be a conscious effort to eventually make it live everywhere we go.
Okay.
Yeah,
That is the plan. That is the goal.
Yes,
It's better that way.
I agree.
And then you can replay it after.
Of course.
Are you happy with the ratings?
Let me tell you, I am. Somebody told me the other day, said, last year we were up, some pretty good numbers, and this year we're up. I think Slusher told me we're up 62% from last year.
Okay, so you're happy.
So we're happy. I mean, I'm happy. Kevin's happy, and everybody's happy, and I think that it comes down to this. Look, we put the fights on, and it's fun, and we love it. I have a great team, but really, it comes to It comes to Kevin K's commitment, and Viacom's commitment to this product.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, from the top down, I mean top, way top to the very bottom, Viacom is into this, man. They are really behind this product, and they want to grow, and they want to go after it like nobody's business. So
Clearly, I mean, you're signing all these fighters.
yeah, exactly.
You have
And
to
know
have
what?
their support.
Yeah, and they have, Ariel, they have never said to me, no, we don't want to do that, or we don't want to do this. They always said, hey, if you believe this will help the company, then we should do it.
Okay.
So, we have an ownership group that, is very committed. Let's put it that way.
Do you have a salary cap? Like, can you not go over a certain amount?
Yeah,
or is it just
we have built in, parameters of how we're going to operate.
Okay.
Under the, like a yearly budget.
Okay.
But if there's been times where it's exceeded that, and I went to the board and said, this is what we want to do. This is why. This will be the outcome of how we, what we think will happen. And we've always, got the green light.
By the way, they're telling me here that it's Spike UK. You're right, but it doesn't air live. It airs usually 24 hours later, a week later.
That is true.
So
yeah, that's true.
Do they want? I mean, they clearly want this. Is it possible to change it to where they can get it at least?
We're definitely working on that.
Okay.
And both ways, because I think that some of the fights that we air internationally over the next 2 weeks will air live here as well.
Okay. Will the pay-per-view be live?
But it's 4 a.m.
Yeah, but these fans are crazy. I mean, they stay up all hours to watch this stuff.
Yeah, but it's it's 4 a.m. there, and when the air hits, 4 p.m.
Yeah,
it's tough.
It's tough. Yeah,
it's tough.
What about the pay-per-view? Will that be available to everyone?
Yeah, that's going to be available
worldwide,
instantaneously. I mean, we're going to distribute to our distribution partners.
Yeah.
So there's going to be 140 countries around the world that will distribute this product, and and then we have the United States and Canada on pay-per-view.
Do you like the name Bellator?
Yeah, I mean, it's. Let me tell you, when
you miss Strikeforce.
Okay, listen. When I first came, I'm going to be very honest with you.
Please.
When I first came into the company,
you hated it.
I was like, man, I really love Strikeforce. I really love that name, Strikeforce. And then you know what? It was like it's something that just really started growing. And then I said, you know what? This is going to be Strikeforce 2.0. But we're just going to call it Bellator. Okay. So now I feel like it's really ingrained in me, and
you've grown to love it.
Yeah, grown to love it.
You're not trying to change it, rebrand it.
No. Bellator is because think about it. What did it mean 3 years ago? Right. And you're around. Yeah. To what it means today. It's a much different product than it was 3 years ago.
Did you have a bit of a chuckle when you saw Bjorn Rebney resurface part of this association? And then he told me on this show that he doesn't watch the product, and I don't believe that.
You know what? I tell you, I just think that. It to me it didn't make any sense. Okay. It just didn't make any sense for a lot of different reasons, and so I would just like to leave it at that.
Didn't make sense.
It just didn't make sense to me. I mean, it's I don't know. I don't want to get into that, but it was interesting. Let's put it that way.
Do you think that will ever happen in the sport, an association?
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
I just think that it has to be the right people, the right people backing it, the right people leading it. Yeah. And it has a chance, but this is an individual sport. Like if you go to your top fighters and you say, hey, you can't fight next Saturday, you have to pick it, or you have to support. These guys fight twice a year. Yeah. They make their money 2 or 3 times a year. You might not get a good answer back, right? In what you're asking them to do. So this is not a team sport where there's a collective bargaining agreement and there's a union could live in.
Happens in tennis. They picketed very famously in the 70s.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that. I'm not a tennis guy.
Well,
but when I look at boxing, this is kind of like boxing.
Yeah.
Hey, Floyd, you should just sit out this fight. You know what the answer is going to be. It's not going to be a very nice answer. But my point is, these guys are individual athletes, fighting for their families. And when you ask them to not fight, I don't think you're going to hear a good answer. I don't care who's asking them. So they're going to have to find how they get through that part, to take this union to the next level.
Speaking of Floyd, do you think it happens, him versus Conor?
I hope so.
You do? Why?
I mean, it's like, it's been built up so much.
Yeah.
I want to see it, and to me, it's like, I'll be the first guy to buy tickets,
You're going to be there.
I'd love to be there.
You're going to be sitting there in the front row, Scott Coker. What a scene that would be.
I know. Wouldn't that be great?
Yes.
I would love to go because, look, Conor is special. He's done a lot of great things athletically, but man, he can just talk and talk and talk and talk. And I love that. I love characters I love fighters that become characters like Chael.
Yeah.
Or, different. I love that. And to me, it goes back to my, my Japanese roots and, being a Dynamite and seeing, what's his name? Nogueira.
Yeah.
Fight Bob Sapp.
Yeah.
Tell me that wasn't the first fun fight.
Yeah.
Right? In the history of like MMA. I mean, not in history, but it was the first one that I saw that was famous, right?
Sure.
And to me, it's like, these guys become characters and Conor's become, this bigger than life guy. And to me, why wouldn't I want to see it?
Will you root for Conor because he's representing MMA, or you don't really view it that way?
To me, I'm like, let the best fighter win. I would, to me as a martial arts guy, I would.
Sure. That's true.
I would vote for Conor.
That's right.
But to me, it's like, I would sit there, man, and I would just have my water in my hand. I'm like, let's just.
Water, no beer?
No, I don't drink.
You don't drink. No, that's right. We have that in common.
Yeah.
Do you think he wins? Does he have a chance?
I think that, listen, when two guys are gloving up and throwing down, you never know. Some people said, hey, this is like celebrity boxing. This is like, a sparring session for Mayweather, and to Mayweather's credit, I mean, he's super hard to hit. Manny Pacquiao couldn't hit him, and he's people have a hard time hitting him, but all it takes is 1-2 punches, man. It could change the whole game. So to me, I hope that fight happens, and I hope they get through all the legal stuff or all the political stuff and make it happen, because they give my $99.
Yeah, you think it's going to be that much?
Floyd's last fight was what, $99? So
okay, just a couple more things,
Sure.
and then we'll let you go, and we have to run because
Chael took all my time. I get it.
We've been going 4 hours and 10 minutes here. We don't take breaks on this show, Scott.
That's amazing.
And I could go another 4, but they would kill me back there.
Wow.
They hate it. They always tell me to hurry up, blah, blah, blah. So right now with Chael fighting MSG, as a promoter, is this when you have to really flex your muscles? In other words, how big of a blow was his loss to Tito? And not so much because he lost, but because afterwards people were criticizing his physique, the way he fought, calling it a fixed fight, all this stuff. Like, do you really have to re-educate the crowd? Like, this guy is really good.
I think that, when you buy pay-per-view, is you're buying the card.
Okay.
Or buying the event.
Yeah.
But saying that, I think that Chael versus Wanderlei, that's a fight everybody wants to see. That's a fight I wanted to see 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
These guys are fighting in the parking lot, let alone, inside of a cage. So I think by the time the fight gets here, fans are going to want to see this fight.
Okay.
And, Chael, the whole thing about, fixing the fight, that's total, you know how I feel about that already.
Sure.
And
were you
insulting? Honestly.
How pissed? I was offended as an MMA fan that smart people that I respect were saying this.
Yeah.
This is your company. This is your reputation.
Yeah. And the thing about it, it always starts with some commentator from the other guys that starts these rumors, right? And I'm like, come on, man. Do you really think that we put 31 years of being a fight promoter on the line?
You go to jail.
Jeopardize our bond, jeopardize our promoter's license. Because it's so ludicrous. It's almost, I feel like it's blatant. Do you know what I mean? Like it's an attack. It's an attack done on purpose.
Was that below the belt? Because you're usually very respectful.
Come on, man. It's just so silly that it doesn't make sense. So I'm thinking this is a tactical attack by this guy.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's like, I sent it to Viacom Legal. I said, look, this guy's disparaging us. He is a person that is in the media, so people listen to him.
Yeah.
So you should send this to London offices and see what they can do.
What they do?
I think they're still, doing something.
You're taking this seriously.
Listen, when Wanderlei said that about the UFC, what did the UFC do?
It's a great point.
Because your reputation's on the line, right? And think about it, and that's really at the end of the day what you have is your reputation, and so to me it's like, look, we don't attack people. We're just trying to grow our business and go do our business.
Sure.
And that's been my philosophy. And for people to attack us, most of the time I'm just like whatever. But this one, I felt like this is a blatant attack. It has to be addressed, and people need to know that we're going to take this kind of accusation very seriously.
Yeah, and it seems to come up a lot. Like, I don't know, maybe it's because the production looks a little WWE-ish, and I like it. I like being different. But why do you think that is? Why, like when Kimbo fought Shamrock, people said this?
I have no idea. But but the thing about it is, like, come on, it's like if they stopped and thought about it, they'd know.
Well, if anything, you'd want Chael to win the fight if you were going to fix a fight.
Well, think about that. There you go, right? Because Cheeto's going to retire.
Sure.
It's like you would have it go the other way if you were fixing fights. But Chael's a guy that got caught. And he hadn't fought in how long? So
4 years, yeah.
So he was a little bit probably not in the best shape that he would like to be in. That's why I told him after the fight, I said, look, don't worry about this. You're going to be fine. Just keep training, go back to the gym, and keep doing what you're doing, because we're going to have a big fight for you. We're going to tell you about it in a couple months. And here we are, June 24th.
Are you going to book Matt Hughes versus Hoist Gracie?
No, that fight has not been talked about.
Okay, are you interested in Matt Hughes?
No, I don't, we haven't talked to him about fighting.
No? He put out a thing.
What did he say?
He said that he has talked to a promoter, and he hinted at a Hoist Gracie fight, and Hoist has said that he'd like to fight him as well.
Okay.
Is there any interest?
Well, I mean, I think we have a lot on our plate this year.
Okay.
And I'm not sure that fight would fall, in that schedule.
What about Chuck Liddell?
I mean, who would you want to see him fight?
I don't really want to see him fight anyone, to be honest.
Well, there you go.
But what about you? It's not my decision.
I mean, it's Chuck.
Have you talked to him?
Not about fighting, no.
About what?
We just had a quick conversation about doing some stuff for us at FanFest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will he be doing that?
We had one conversation, and that was it. We haven't. I have to follow up on on.
Okay.
But we thought, look, we have these FanFests. We bring all the legends out. It doesn't matter where you're from.
Yeah.
We bring Sakuraba from Japan.
Yeah.
We bring UFC fighters, Pride fighters, Strikeforce fighters. Let's, something where the fans can interact and meet them, and they really appreciate it, man. These fans love it.
Yeah. No, it's a great
we
idea.
usually get 2,000 or 3,000 people show up.
Really?
An autograph signing.
So thanks, but no thanks to Hughes, right? Is that accurate?
I think that's accurate.
And let's end on this. Around a year ago, this time, you were coming off the Data 5000 fight. That was not a great night. I mean, it was potentially a scary night for everyone involved, right?
Yep, I agree.
Did you think that a year later you would be in this position where all of a sudden it feels like you're like the darlings of the MMA world? This is back to Strikeforce, where it feels like everyone's kind of openly rooting for you guys in the media, the fans.
Yeah.
People are kind of willing you to the top, or at least to be in that conversation. Did you think when all that was going down with Kimbo and Dada, I mean, that could have been a major step, that could have been the end, right? That a year later you'd be in this position?
I think that certain circumstances, since that time has kind of unfolded, and one was the sale of the company.
Yeah.
I think that changed a lot.
Yeah, it did.
And the fighters, it changed a lot for the fighters too.
Yeah.
I think there were some bitter athletes, out there saying, hey, you guys, made all this money, $4 billion, and, we're still stuck here in this contract. And I think that changed people's mind. And it made the phone start ringing. The Reebok deal was the original one.
Yeah.
That made the phone start ringing. And then the sale of the company, then that was the next.
You've noticed a difference?
I've noticed a difference.
Wow.
Yeah. Because, fighters are, creatures of comfort, or habit, and so they like to do the same routine, like when they go to camp, they're doing the same guys, same family, same. And when the family changes, then it's like, well, maybe I should go talk to, my old boss, right?
Yeah.
Or go talk to Bellator.
The grass is greener type of thing.
But at the end of the day, you know what it comes down to? And I told these guys, look, whether you stay, I told this debater, whether you stay at the UFC or you come to Bellator, right? It's good for the industry.
Sure.
Because you're going to ultimately get paid more.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to help elevate, your financial situation for you and your family, because you have two bidders now. If you only had one bidder, maybe you wouldn't be getting as much as you are now.
Yep.
So to me, it's good for the industry to have somebody else out there that can pay these athletes what they deserve, and and I think they're appreciative of it. And I think that they see how many people have come over, so it's just making people, say, oh, well, I should go check it out,
Well, I've noted this. I noted this last week. I've seen this from Bader, from Rory McDonald. People want to almost go to bat for you because they're so appreciative of you giving them this opportunity, where they're like openly coming out of their shell. Like McDonald's tweeting a storm, and I can't wait for his debut, May 19th, I believe it is, against Paul Daly.
Great
I mean,
fight.
it feels like they're really very appreciative. Who's next, by the way? Who's next? Who's on the radar?
I'm not sure, but I mean, here's the thing.
You got a radar.
We're not going to talk to a fighter until they're free.
You can't, yes.
Until they're free.
Sure.
Because listen, that's, we're not going to get into any kind of,
Sure, tampering.
I mean, that's silly. We're just going to sit back and wait.
Okay.
Because I tell you, we're in this for the long haul. This is not something that happens a year, 2, 3. I mean, this is going to be a company that's going to be here for years and years and years to come.
Wow. All right. Great way to end it.
Great.
That was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Anything else that we didn't touch on that you'd like to address?
No, listen, I think that it's been a great year for Bellator.
Yeah.
And, the ratings, the sponsorship, the international fights that we're doing, everything's been going fantastic. And I look forward to the rest of 17 and into 18 and beyond, because we're doing some fun stuff. I mean, it's been a fun year.
Yeah.
And, we just feel fortunate to have you finally come to one of our fights.
Oh, stop. I haven't come.
Well, you will,
Things
right?
can change.
What? What?
What about that right there? Shamrock Diaz on the table. You see that?
I'll tell you a story about that fight.
Done it all, Scott.
I'll tell you a story about this fight.
Please.
So, a week before the fight, Frank says, hey, I ripped my cartilage off my bone for this fight.
Oh, no.
I said, we're going to call the fight off. He says, no, I don't want to. Just let me see how. And so he was really hurt when he took that fight.
Wow.
He goes, I want to do it because I want to do it anyway. I said, Frank, just stop. Like, this is enough. He says, no, I'm going to do this. And so he got to the fight. And if you notice the first body shot,
Yeah.
with,
I remember.
and
April 11, 2009. Am I right? Look at that. I didn't even look at it.
Oh, you look at it every day.
No. You know why? Because that felt like a turning point for Strikeforce. That was on Showtime. That was your first mega event on Showtime, right? Mm-hmm. And it kind of feels like what this is, in a way.
Yes.
You had these guys come in from Elite XC.
Yeah.
You're putting them together. It feels very reminiscent.
Yeah, that was a great fight. And then I tell you, my most favorite fight is Diaz Daly.
Oh, of course.
That was amazing.
But that was a weird one because the company had been sold.
I know, but still, the fight was amazing.
Were you there?
Of course, I was there.
Dana showed up with the Strikeforce shirt. Remember that, Lorenzo?
Yeah, we all took pictures. We all hung out.
Yeah, what a fun time.
You know what I love? I love that EA Sports Cup with Fedor on it. That's amazing.
You love this studio,
this
right?
Is great. I love it. This is fantastic.
We've got all kinds of things here. You know who gave me that? The Ronda Rousey thing. Judo Gene LaBelle gave me that. The man.
Yeah, this is some great stuff, man. Great memorabilia.
Is it true, by the way, that what Chael said, like, oh, Dana kind of realized you're a very smart guy. I'm not going to keep this guy involved. Like, they kind of put you off to the side?
No, you know what? I mean, I think that, listen, when I got there, I had gotten there through the sale of the company.
Yeah,
right?
It was so weird.
So I think both sides knew. I knew there's going to be a beginning, a middle, and an end to this relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I'm here to help if you guys need anything, and they would ask me from time to time to, speak to Tyron Woodley or speak to, Luke or speak to DC, guys that I had good relationships with. And, but, as far as like, moving to Vegas and being involved, I
was that ever on the table?
Not in my mind.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I live in the Bay Area.
Right, of course.
That's where I live.
Proud.
I mean, it's like the Warriors. I got to support the Warriors. How can I support the Warriors if I live in Vegas?
Although business picking up for Las Vegas, they got the Raiders today. Did you hear that?
Oh, that's amazing, huh?
Crazy, right? I wonder if Lorenzo's going to be involved.
I don't know, but I tell you what, if I was an Oakland Raider fan living in Oakland, I'd be pissed off.
Hell yeah.
Because I'm like, 40, 50 years, 60 years
Sure.
of blood, sweat, and tears.
Montreal Expos. I know you're not a baseball guy, but I'm an Expo fan.
Yes.
They left to Washington.
And that's terrible. I mean,
It's the worst feeling.
They should leave Oakland, the franchise, or the Raiders, and they should give them an expansion team. That's what I think.
Huh.
And I'll tell you, honestly, it's like, I'm a big sports fan, and I live in the Bay Area. But ever since I think Oakland left in '84,
Yeah.
I never went to another game.
Never went back.
Never went back because I said, you know what? They will leave again at some point.
Yeah. And here
And
we
here we
are.
are, years later.
Will the Dubs do it? Are they going to get back?
I think
on
they're going
top?
to win the title this
Yeah?
year. Yeah.
Cleveland's struggling.
Yeah. I mean, there's some scary teams out there, but
Kevin Durant's injured.
yeah, he'll be back.
Coming back.
He'll be back.
You have front row seats, courtside.
Of course, I have floor seats, yeah.
Unbelievable.
You should come out. We'll hang out.
That Zuffa sale, it paid off well.
But I've been going to those games. I saw Rick Barry shoot
Wow.
his underhand.
And now his son's doing it for Florida.
Yeah.
You see that?
It's crazy, right?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I've loved Bay Area sports
Were
for a
you
long
at
time.
Game 7 last year against Cleveland?
Yes.
You saw the block.
Yeah.
How difficult was that as a fan?
That was tough.
It wasn't so tough because you got the championship the year before. If you hadn't had the championship,
No, but I did feel like, come on, like this guy is getting every call on the book.
Yeah, yeah.
Like give us some call, make it fair.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all you ask for is fair competition. I just felt like it was a little bit one sided.
you thought it was fixed.
Didn't say fixed. Didn't say fixed. I don't want to be like those guys
Sure.
saying it, but I would say that sometimes the superstar gets a call.
Yeah. And a little inside baseball. Not only are you active as far as free agent fighters are concerned, but also in the PR world as well, signing former UFC PR guy and Strikeforce PR guy Ryan Grab, right?
And NASCAR. He was a NASCAR guy. For a year.
NASCAR. You've got Danny Brenner, but the real MVP is my man CJ.
That's what I heard.
He's
Man, I love
blushing
that guy.
somewhere. He
Yeah,
is the
CJ,
best.
if you're listening, keep rocking it, man. You're doing a great job. We love you over there.
First time in MMA Hour history, 4 Bellator guests on one show. All thanks to him.
Hey, thank you very much.
Well, and to my man CJ. Does great work.
CJ is great. I mean, we love the relationship. He's been fantastic, and he's a lot of fun to be around. But like you said, he's very professional. You guys love him, but we love him as well. So.
Well, Scott, this has been a lot of fun. I wish you the best, not only tomorrow, so let's run it down. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. At Madison Square Garden. It's going to be a press conference with the top 8 fights, top 4 fights, 8 fighters. That will be streamed, so people can watch that on MMAfighting.com. And then Friday, Spike TV, 9 p.m., it's Rampage versus King Mo 2.
That's correct.
And then we've got May 19th, Rory McDonald versus Paul Daly. And, of course, the big one is June 24th at MSG. So far, we have 4 fights. And you heard it here first, James Gallagher versus Shinzo Machida. How exciting is that?
That's going to be a great fight.
Okay.
I think that's going to be a good test for James.
Great fight. So I have to say goodbye now.
Okay.
Can you stick with me for like 2 minutes?
Sure.
Okay. You can hear my music, guys. This is fun. It's always fun to say goodbye with someone in studio. This is how I do it, Scott. I'm not quite, Sean Grandy. You know Sean Grandy, by the way. A real mensch. Do you know what he did for me, Sean Grandy?
Oh, wow.
Sean Grandy knows that I'm a huge Knicks fan.
Okay.
And he does the radio play-by-play for the Celtics.
Great.
And so when he was doing preseason, October 15th, this past year, called me up and said, come do the second quarter with me on the radio.
Oh, how fun's that?
So I sat there in the press box with him and Cedric Maxwell,
Wow.
and I got to call the second quarter with those guys. You know how I've never met him.
Wow.
And he just texted me.
He's a great guy.
I love Sean Grande for life. He can do no wrong in my books.
Yeah, he's great.
Him,
He's,
Jimmy Smith.
And I tell you, when he came to see the Warriors play last year, I went up there and hung out with him and listened to the headsets, and it's a great experience to listen to the game. As they're calling it, it's pretty amazing.
He's a pro. I was blown away with how he did it. I mean, you got to call everything when you're doing radio.
Right.
Unbelievable. So it's him, and it's Jimmy Smith, and it's also Chael this Friday, right?
Yes.